The first sign that something was wrong came in the form of a missed transmission. It was an innocuous detail, a routine update from the European Space Agency, scheduled to broadcast at 3:00 Greenwich Mean Time. But it never arrived. The report, which was supposed to be part of the regular communication with the Galactic Council, had simply vanished. It wasn't until the next day, when other transmissions from Earth began to drop off one by one, that the true scope of the problem became apparent. Ambassador Zekri, standing before the towering screens in the Zorvax War Command, watched with growing unease as Earth's signals went dark. Her antennae twitched involuntarily. "Where are the humans?" she murmured, her voice laced with suspicion. The Zorvax were masters of galactic conquest. With hundreds of star systems under their control, they had learned to rely on the constant flow of information to maintain their hold on power. When one piece of the puzzle went missing, they could usually work out the rest. But this was different. The Earth was silent, but it wasn't just the humans' broadcasts that had stopped. No distress signals, no communication from their stations on Mars or the Moon, not even from their satellites. The planet itself had seemingly disappeared from the galactic network. "Impossible," Zekri muttered. "They can't have developed such a technology. Not yet." Her chief intelligence officer, Raw, a smaller Zorvax, stepped forward, his clawed hands tapping furiously on a terminal. "We're scanning the planet's orbit, Ambassador. No sign of destruction. No sudden power surges. It's as if the Earth itself is cloaked." Zekri paced, her segmented legs clicking sharply on the metal floor. "Check every frequency. We've missed something," she snapped. "We need to know what's going on down there. The Council will not wait for answers." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. The Council of the Great Alliance, an organization made up of over 30 alien species, had relied on Earth for decades to act as the front line of its dealings with other parts of the galaxy. Human diplomacy, trade and technology had been seen as a stabilizing force. But now that stability was gone. On Earth, amidst the panic, Colonel Amanda Keller sat in a dimly lit war room beneath the Pentagon. Her face was etched with determination as she watched the same reports. "We expected this," she said quietly to her team, all of them military personnel and scientists, each a specialist in their field. "Prepare for the worst. We're not going to wait for them to figure us out." Greg Hayes, a hacker who had helped design Earth's new communication security protocols, looked up from his station. "They've been watching us for years. I think it's time we show them we're watching them back." Keller nodded. "We need to send a message. A clear one." The silence from Earth didn't go unnoticed. On the bridge of the Arakan warship Neravath, Commander Lariax's three eyes narrowed as the data streams flickered before him. His reptilian skin, a translucent silver blue under the ship's ambient lighting, tightened with tension. He wasn't one to panic, but the abrupt cessation of communication from Earth sent a ripple through the diplomatic channels of the Arakan. For decades, they had cultivated an uneasy alliance with humanity, and now their greatest asset in the galaxy, Earth's burgeoning technological prowess, was hidden from view. "Sir, we've detected no interference," reported a subordinate. "No explosion, no weapons discharge, not even a spike in energy emissions. It's as if they've disappeared." Lariax's tongue flicked out in irritation. "This is no ordinary blackout. The humans were meant to be the buffer, our intermediary with the rest of the galaxy. Now we can't even reach them." Lariax's mind raced. The Arakan had long viewed humans as ambitious yet naive. They admired the humans' ability to strike diplomatic deals, but never considered them a threat. But now a growing sense of unease was settling in. What if Earth had discovered something more? Something that could turn the entire galactic power structure on its head. Across the galaxy, similar feelings took root. In the core of the Tilith homeworld, a jagged mountain range surrounded the high citadels where their ruling council gathered. The Tilith, a fearsome insectoid species known for their aggression, had long seen Earth as little more than a stepping stone, a planet ripe for subjugation. A world of useful resources and future conquests, but not one worth paying much attention to, until now. Tilith General Saga paced through the war room, his mandibles clicking in frustration. What is it they're hiding? Earth was always quiet, too quiet. But now it's gone, utterly silent. They were supposed to be our conquest, not our threat. Saga's lieutenant, a younger Tilith named Zor, leaned in. General, could they have developed something capable of disrupting our network? Our sensors? Stop. Saga snapped. We know nothing about human capabilities. The entire galaxy underestimated them. I want every available ship moved into position. We will deal with this now, before it escalates further. The Tilith fleet, already prepared for the invasion of Earth, shifted into position, its massive ships preparing for the next stage of their campaign. But they were not the only ones watching. Elsewhere, in the far reaches of the galaxy, a different reaction stirred. The Arkan weren't the only ones who had taken an interest in Earth. The Virex, sleek, crystalline beings known for their careful diplomacy, had been studying humanity for years. To them, Earth's sudden silence wasn't a cause for concern, but a mystery. The Virex Council, led by High Arbiter Kairoth, saw an opportunity. They hadn't made their move yet, but with the galactic powers shifting, the Virex recognized that now was the time to act. We cannot allow the Tilith to dominate this situation, Kairoth mused, watching the data streams. We must extend an offer to the humans. They have what we need. His mind was already turning. The Virex had long been searching for a new strategic partner, and Earth was rapidly becoming the galaxy's most valuable commodity. The silence continued, stretching into weeks. The Galactic Council was fracturing under the weight of fear and uncertainty. Some factions began to push for immediate action, invade Earth, or risk a larger power rising from the shadows. Others, like the Virex, believed that patience was their best course of action, choosing instead to learn more about what Earth had truly become. For the first time in history, the aliens who once saw humanity as a footnote in the annals of galactic history were now beginning to fear the quiet, shadowed world in the Sol system. Back on Earth, the leaders of the planet were well aware of the growing tensions in the galaxy. For decades, humanity had been building a defense network in secret, aware that the day would come when they would no longer be able to rely on diplomatic negotiations alone. The silence was not an accident. It was the culmination of a long-planned initiative designed to ensure that Earth could survive whatever the galaxy decided to throw at them. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Amanda Keller and her team were monitoring the alien responses. The vast, underground war room was bathed in the low hum of machinery, and the walls were lined with enormous monitors that displayed every known alien ship's movement, every signal emitted from the galactic community. The room was tense, but the team was prepared. Keller turned to her second-in-command, Captain Joshua Dean, a tall, square-jawed officer whose face never showed anything but calm. We knew they'd notice. We anticipated the panic. Now it's time to make sure they stay scared. Dean nodded, his brow furrowed with determination. The cloak technology is holding. Our signals are still hidden from them, but we can't keep this up indefinitely. Once they figure out what we're doing, they'll come at us with everything they have." Keller glanced at the screen, where the Zorvax and Tilith fleets were beginning to position themselves near Earth's orbit. "Let them come. We're ready for them." At the heart of the Earth Initiative was a cutting-edge technology that no alien species had anticipated. An adaptive cloaking field that rendered Earth completely invisible to any sensor, radar, or communication device in the galaxy. Developed by a covert team of the world's most brilliant minds, this technology could not only hide Earth from prying eyes, but also make human communication undetectable. An entire world erased from the galactic map. "We've done more than hide ourselves," Dr. Emily Carter, a physicist and one of the initiative's lead scientists, said as she entered the room. "We've created the ultimate deterrent. A perfect defense system based on quantum entanglement and synthetic black hole technology. They'll never see us coming." Greg Hayes, the ex-hacker turned technical genius, tapped away at his console. "And the message we're sending back, it's ready. All encrypted, embedded with decoy signals to mislead them into thinking we have weapons they can't even comprehend. It should shake them to their core." Keller turned to face her team, her gaze sharp and calculating. "I don't want them thinking we're a threat yet. I want them confused. I want them paranoid. If they think we have something they can't understand, they'll hesitate, and hesitation is the key to survival." She tapped a button on the holographic interface in front of her. A deep, resonating voice filled the room as the encrypted message began its journey across the galaxy. "You've been watching us for years. Now it's time to let us watch you. Don't make the mistake of thinking we are what you once believed. We are not here for conquest. We are here for survival." As the message sent out into the void, the team exchanged knowing looks. There was no going back now. They had kicked off a galactic game of high-stakes poker, and humanity was holding the best hand, an invisible ace in the hole. Keller's voice was steady. "Let them figure it out. We'll make them come to us." The galaxy was buzzing with unease. Rumors circulated among the alien factions, whispers of strange signals, coded messages, and unexplained phenomena surrounding Earth. The Zorvax, with their superior intelligence network, were the first to uncover something that could not be ignored. They had dispatched a small covert fleet to the edge of Earth's orbit, hoping to find the cause of the planetary silence. Their initial scans turned up nothing unusual. No signs of destruction, no massive power surges, not even the faintest trace of radiation or energy spikes that might indicate a catastrophe. The planet was still. But the Zorvax were no strangers to secrets. They knew the universe had its own way of hiding the truth, and Earth had always been more than it appeared. Ambassador Zekri paced the observation deck of the Zorvax warship Verdrax, her mandibles clicking with frustration. The data streams flowing before her flickered with endless reports from her spies, but each one told the same thing. Earth had become a ghost, invisible to their most advanced scanners. She growled low in her throat. The humans had always been capable of strange, unpredictable acts. But this was different. They hadn't just hidden themselves. They had effectively erased their existence from the universe's view. She turned sharply to Rawl, the intelligence officer who had spent the last few weeks obsessively scouring Earth's communications. "You're certain?" Zekri's voice was harsh, her patience worn thin. Rawl, his multi-lensed eyes darting over the data, nodded grimly. "We've analysed every possible wavelength. We've tried every form of communication, active, passive, even signals buried beneath cosmic radiation. Earth is hiding under a cloak that we can't breach. It's beyond our technology, Ambassador. There's no sign of their previous communications infrastructure, no satellites, no deep space probes. Zekri's mind raced. Could it be that the humans had stumbled upon something the Zorvax had overlooked? Something even their vast empire couldn't comprehend? What does this mean for us? Zekri demanded. Rawl hesitated before speaking again, voice laced with a rare hint of doubt. It means Earth may have outgrown us. This technology, if they're capable of hiding themselves this thoroughly, it's beyond anything we've encountered. It's possible they've discovered something that could give them power to rival even the Zorvax. The implications hit Zekri hard. The Zorvax had never considered Earth a true threat, but now that they were in the dark, the possibility of a technological leap that could threaten their military dominance was a real fear. If Earth had something capable of remaining hidden from the galaxy's most sophisticated technologies, then humanity had crossed a line that not even the Zorvax could afford to ignore. Zekri's antennae twitched. If they have something we can't detect, we'll have to draw it out. We need to know their secrets. We need to know how they did this. She turned sharply, addressing the gathered command crew. Prepare for a direct approach. If the humans want to hide, let's see if they're ready to stand and face us. Meanwhile, in Earth's hidden command center, Carol Keller's team was preparing for the next phase. They had known this moment would come. The aliens would push. But now, they were about to play their greatest hand. They weren't hiding anymore. They were waiting, and they had no intention of losing. The Tilith were the first to move. As the Zorvax deliberated over what to do next, the war-hungry Tilith made their intentions clear. Their fleet, an unstoppable juggernaut of insectoid warships, began moving toward Earth, a decision driven by instinct rather than reason. The Tilith, with their sharp, predatory minds, saw Earth's silence as a challenge, an affront to their power. If the humans had found a way to hide themselves, then they must be eradicated before they could pose any real danger. General Traga, seated at the command center of the Tilith flagship Vexrun, was resolute. His mandibles clicked in anticipation as he reviewed the latest intelligence gathered from their spy networks. The humans were no longer the feeble species they had once appeared to be. Traga, driven by an unyielding desire to expand the Tilith Empire, knew the time had come to crush Earth and make an example of them. We cannot afford hesitation. Traga snarled, his voice rasping through the command center's speakers. The humans are hiding something, and we will root it out. Ready the fleet. We strike at once. Meanwhile, on the Arakan cruiser Niravath, Commander Lariex stared at the unfolding events with growing concern. He had hoped for a more measured response from the galactic powers, but the Tilith were relentless. The sudden military mobilization was a clear signal. Earth was in immediate danger. The Arakan had been studying the humans for years, and Lariex knew their potential far better than the Tilith did. He also knew that the Arakan's approach had always been diplomatic, but diplomacy was becoming increasingly irrelevant. General Traga is rushing into this. Commander, his aide Irix warned. If the Tilith destroy Earth, the power dynamics in the galaxy could shift dramatically. Earth could become a symbol, a rallying point for other species. Or worse, the humans could use their newfound power to retaliate. Lariex drummed his claws against the control panel, calculating. We need to open a channel to Earth. If we can find a way to communicate with them, perhaps we can form an alliance. But if the Tilith invade first, it will be too late. The Arakan commander's instincts told him the humans were more than capable of defending themselves. The silence from Earth, the sudden vanishing of all signals, was no accident. The Arakan had long suspected that humanity was holding something back. Now they needed to decide whether to confront Earth with diplomacy or risk being caught in the same catastrophic miscalculation that Tilith were making. Back on Earth, Colonel Keller was already preparing for the inevitable. They had known that the day would come when Earth's silence would prompt an aggressive response, but they hadn't expected it to be so immediate. "We need to send a message," Keller said, her voice calm but firm as she turned to her team. "Let them think they're in control. Let them make the first move. When they do, we'll be ready." The message she was referring to was already in the works, an encrypted transmission designed to make the galaxy's most powerful species doubt their assumptions about humanity. It wasn't just a declaration of defense, it was a statement. Earth was no longer a pawn in the game of galactic politics. Earth was ready to play for keeps. With one final glance at the flashing alerts on her console, Keller issued the order. "Prepare to broadcast." The Tilith fleet was already in motion, their massive warships descending toward Earth's orbit like an unstoppable swarm of predatory insects. The Zorvax, too, were moving into position, though they remained on the outer edges of the solar system, unsure of how to engage. But it was the Arkan who were most dangerous, silent, calculating, and shrewd. Their ships held back, cloaked in shadows, as if waiting for the right moment to strike. The galaxy was on edge, and fear had become the universal currency. Every alien faction, from the war-hungry Tilith to the calculating Virex, was grappling with the implications of humanity's sudden disappearance and the possibility that Earth had grown too powerful to be ignored. But it wasn't just the military build-up that had the galaxy trembling. No, the real terror was what Earth's silence meant for the future. What if humanity had learned to harness technologies that could rival the great powers of the galaxy? What if their disappearance wasn't an accident, but a strategic move? A demonstration of their true potential? Could they have discovered a way to manipulate the very fabric of space itself? Could they have unlocked the key to intergalactic warfare that would shift the balance of power? The Zorvax leadership, particularly Ambassador Zekri, began to lose sleep over the idea. They had long considered humans as little more than a nuisance, primitive, unrefined, and easy to subdue. But now the thought that Earth might possess something they didn't could undermine the very foundation of their empire. And they were not accustomed to being second-guessed. "Have we lost the advantage?" Zekri asked, her voice sharp with anxiety. "If the humans have something beyond our understanding, how do we prepare for that?" She turned to Roll, her trusted intelligence officer, whose quiet demeanor had betrayed none of the growing fear that had begun to cloud Zekri's own judgment. Roll's many eyes darted over the vast array of data. "We can't predict what they've done, Ambassador. The silence is unlike anything we've encountered. We've been able to track their activities in the past, but now..." He hesitated. "Now Earth is not just hidden, it is cloaked in a way that our most sophisticated technology can't penetrate." The same realization was beginning to dawn on other factions. The Tilith, who had moved to invade Earth with a crushing force, began to question their own certainty. General Traeger, gruff and imperious, stood at the helm of his warship Vexrun, staring at the growing shadow of Earth's defenses on his monitors. The humans had always been under their radar, small, insignificant, but now that they had somehow shielded themselves from galactic detection, it seemed that the humans were the ones holding all the cards. "Have they outsmarted us?" Traga growled to his officers. His mandibles clicked ominously as the fear settled deep in his bones. "If they have, then we will find out. But we must tread carefully. The last thing we need is to provoke them into revealing whatever weapon they're hiding." Despite the growing uncertainty, one thing was clear to all. Earth's silence had shaken the entire galaxy. The humans were no longer simply pawns in a larger game. They had become something else, a dark, unpredictable force that could tip the balance in ways no one fully understood. Back on Earth, in a secure command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Keller's team worked tirelessly. They had been waiting for this moment, preparing for the inevitable clash. The encrypted message had already been sent, deliberately vague, but designed to rattle the galactic powers. Keller leaned forward, her eyes hard with determination. Let them feel the pressure. Let them wonder what we're capable of. This is just the beginning. The tension in the galaxy reached a boiling point the moment that Tilith fleet entered Earth's orbit. General Traga's warships hung like a swarm of locusts, their massive forms blotting out the stars as they surrounded the Earth. Their weapon systems were primed, and their soldiers, eager for battle, began preparing for planetary invasion. The Zorvax had backed off, unsure of what to do next, but it was clear that the Tilith had no such hesitation. To them, Earth's silence was an insult, a challenge that could not go unanswered. Back on the Vexron, General Traga stood before his command center, his eyes narrowed in anticipation. He had already ordered the first wave of troops to be dispatched. The Tilith had no need for subtlety. Their doctrine was clear: overwhelm and crush. Begin the strike. Traga ordered, his voice cold and unwavering. Deploy the ground forces. I want Earth to understand the cost of defying us. As his orders were transmitted, the first salvo of Tilith assault pods rocketed toward the surface of Earth. They shot through the atmosphere, a fiery trail of destruction as they fell toward the planet's surface. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly anticipate, was that Earth was no longer the defenseless world they had once thought it to be. On the ground, Carol Keller and her team watched the incoming attack on their screens. The Tilith had made the first move, and humanity would respond in kind. We knew this was coming, Keller said, her voice calm as ever. Activate the defense systems. Let them feel what happens when they miscalculate. Around the room, technicians scrambled to bring Earth's hidden weaponry online. For years, humanity had been preparing for this moment, not just hiding behind cloaking technology, but preparing to strike back. The Tilith weren't the only ones with advanced weaponry. The world's greatest minds had worked in secrecy, building a planetary defense system that would make any invading fleet regret its decision to engage. As the first wave of Tilith assault pods descended toward Earth's surface, they were met by an invisible barrier, an electromagnetic pulse so strong it ripped through the pods with ease, disabling them mid-descent. They fell to Earth in a slow, crumpled descent, their intricate technologies reduced to nothing more than scrap. The Tilith soldiers inside were rendered unconscious, caught in the wake of an attack they didn't understand. Before they could react, Earth's ground forces, hidden in bunkers, underground cities, and fortified military sites, unleashed a devastating counterattack. Energy weapons, previously concealed in strategic locations around the planet, fired without warning. The first Tilith ships were caught in the crossfire. The energy blasts, designed to mimic natural phenomena, tore through the alien ship's outer hulls, disabling shields and sending fragments flying into space. In orbit, General Traga watched in disbelief as his fleet began to crumble under the unexpected onslaught. His communications officer tried to send orders, but the frequency was jammed by a network of human-designed interceptors, each one more sophisticated than anything the Tilith had ever encountered. What is this? Traga hissed, his eyes wide. How are they? In the heart of the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Keller watched the feed with steely resolve. The message had been sent. Humanity was no longer simply a passive player in galactic politics. They were a force to be reckoned with, and now the galaxy would understand that Earth had teeth. "Let them chase us now," Keller said, almost to herself. "Let them think we're still hiding. Let them believe we're just a fluke." Her voice hardened, a cold smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "We'll make them regret thinking we were easy prey." Above the Earth, the Tilith began to regroup, uncertain and disoriented. But one thing was clear: the game had changed. The humans had struck first, and they had shown a terrifying new side of themselves. Now the galaxy would have to decide: push forward into the unknown or retreat before they learned too late that the humans were no longer the weaklings they once thought them to be. The galaxy had never seen a conflict like this before. For the first time in history, an entire planet, once considered a primitive, inconsequential backwater, had turned the tide against its would-be conquerors. The Tilith, once confident in their superior might, were reeling, their fleet broken and disoriented, their forces stranded on the surface of Earth, utterly unprepared for the ferocity of humanity's response. But it wasn't just the Tilith who were shaken. Every faction in the galaxy was now questioning everything they thought they knew about Earth. Ambassador Zekri of the Zorvax watched the unfolding disaster with mounting dread. Her own fleet, positioned just outside Earth's orbit, had been waiting for the Tilith to make their move, but now the situation was spiraling out of control. The humans had fought back with a technology that no one had anticipated, powerful enough to disable entire fleets with a single strike. The Zorvax intelligence reports were already coming in, confirming what she had feared. Earth's defenses were more advanced than anything they had in their arsenal. Rawl, the intelligence officer, spoke in a voice filled with tension. "Ambassador, Earth is not just hiding anymore. They've actively engaged the Tilith forces and have destroyed most of their ground assault pods. The pulse weaponry is beyond anything we've encountered. It's clear they've been preparing for this." Zekri's mandibles clenched. What if they have other surprises in store? What if this is only the beginning? Across the galaxy, leaders of other species were grappling with the same question. The Virex, watching from their crystalline city, were already discussing an emergency meeting. The Arakan, led by Commander Lariax, were silent, observing with caution. They had long viewed humanity as a tool for diplomacy and trade, never as a military threat. But now the Arakan realized they could no longer afford to underestimate Earth. Back on Earth, Colonel Amanda Keller was staring at the live feed of the Tilith fleet retreating from Earth's atmosphere. The first phase of humanity's defense had been a success, but she knew this was only a temporary victory. The galaxy was watching now, and the real challenge was just beginning. "We've made our point," Keller said, turning to her team. "We've shown them that we're not a target, but now we need to send the rest of the galaxy a message." She turned to Greg Hayes, the lead hacker, who was already at work on the next phase of their plan. "We need to amplify our message. It's time to put the rest of the galaxy on notice." Greg's fingers flew over the console as he activated the communication array. The message, encoded and encrypted with layers of deception, began transmitting to every known species within range. It was not just a warning, it was a declaration of humanity's new place in the galaxy. "We have shown you that we are not helpless. We are not here to be subjugated, and we are not interested in your politics or your wars. Earth is a planet of peace, but if you threaten us, you will understand that we are no longer the species you thought we were. We are human, and we will defend our home." As the message rippled through space, the response was immediate. The galaxy held its breath, uncertain of what would come next. Would the other factions attempt to force their will on Earth? Or would they reconsider their approach, now that humanity had proven its power? One thing was clear: Earth was no longer just a part of the galactic landscape. Humanity had made its mark, and the galaxy would never look at them the same way again. The reckoning had begun.